Anxiety is like a snowball that quickly becomes an avalanche. If you don't deal with it when it's small, it will consume you. This means the key to managing anxiety is to deal with it as soon as it pops in mind and is still manageable before it spirals into something huge and overwhelming. While the long-term solution to chronic worry and anxiety is building better habits, there are some small tips and tricks that can help in a pinch. And one of the best ways to short-circuit your worries and anxiety is with mantras.
Hey everyone! Welcome to the Radiant Clues.
Today we are going to look at 5 phrases that will lower anxiety. Now let's begin. 1. I am not my thoughts. Worry becomes overwhelming when you over-identify with your thoughts. The mistake is the assumption that your thoughts are always saying something true and meaningful about you or the world. But thoughts aren't truth. In fact, they're frequently dead wrong and unhelpful. When you get in the habit of reminding yourself, I am not my thoughts, you create separation and distance between a particular thought and the reality of who you are and how the world works. This then makes it easier to disengage from unhelpful and anxiety-producing thoughts like worry. 2. It feels bad doesn't mean it is bad. Your brain's fear center is designed to keep you safe from dangers and death. It's like the alarm system for your body. But just like your car alarm or fire alarm, your brain's fear center can experience false alarm situations where your brain thinks something is dangerous when it isn't. And the result is lots of unnecessary anxiety and worry. What happened here is that you assumed that because you felt a little tense and stressed after the meeting you were anxious during the meeting and that was a really bad thing. In other words, by elaborating on your worries, you effectively told your brain that you feeling stressed and anxious was dangerous. And what does the brain do when it thinks something's dangerous? It realizes a whole bunch of adrenaline, which makes you feel more anxious, and starts peppering you with worries and worst-case scenarios, which makes you even more anxious. The key to a well-functioning personal alarm system is to teach your brain that not everything that appears dangerous actually is dangerous. 3. Less but better. One of the biggest triggers for chronic worry and all the anxiety it produces is feeling overwhelmed. This means that one of the best ways to not worry so much is to avoid getting overwhelmed in the first place. Because we're a culture of doers and action, our default is to say yes to things and always take on new things. Combine this with a natural tendency to want to be nice and please others, and we often end up with way more on our plate than we intended. The solution is to remind yourself of a very simple idea: less but better. Instead of saying yes to every request any coworker makes of you, you prioritize and only say yes to the essential requests, the ones that actually move the needle. Instead of saying yes to every little request your kids make of you, you practice saying no to many of them so that you can be really present when you do say yes. 4. In gentleness, strength. For many people, worry and self-criticism go hand in hand with each other. Unfortunately, worry and self-criticism only amplify each other and make it more likely that you get lost in a major avalanche of anxiety. But the good news is, if you can put even a small dent in your habit of self-criticism, you'll find it's a lot easier to break out of worry. It reminds me that, at least when it comes to matters of the head, being strong in the sense of trying harder and forcing things to be different only makes things worse. On the other hand, when we're gentle with ourselves, including with our worries and insecurities, it actually becomes easier to move past them and get on with life. 5. Focus on the person, not the problem. At the end of the day, much of our worry and anxiety is related to other people and our relationships with them. And nothing sets off the worry habit like interpersonal conflict. You're just way more likely to end up worrying after conflict with other people. The trick is to get better at managing that conflict so that it's less worrisome after the fact. Obviously, most conflicts arise because of some problem, so our natural tendency is to try and fix the problem right away. But this is usually a mistake because, like it or not, interpersonal problems usually require that you work together with the other person to solve it. But how can you effectively work together with the other person if you don't give any consideration to the other person and make sure you're starting from a good place together? Ironically, you'll be much more likely to solve the problem well when you focus on the person first, not the problem, and you'll have a lot less to worry about after the fact.
Hey, thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.